Here's part 9. We're going on with the conversing. We're going on with the language, with the musical language. We've talked about a cycle of fifths. We've talked about how the cycle of fifths goes down. It goes a cycle. Now, on the tenor banjo, here, I will try not to speak so much about the tenor, but on the tenor, one thing it does beautifully, because it's in fifths going all the way across, is if you get a, I told you before, when you have that C7 chord, you could add the B flat over here also. So you'd have 2 B flats. Remember I said they were there? 2 B flats? Right? So you went, before you could have C, G, E, B flat, or you could have C and you could run up to the B flat and double the B flats. Well, when you double those B flats, you could also reach over here and double the E, because these strings double across like that. If you skip a string and go over, and go up 2 frets, and skip a string and go over, you've got the same note an octave below by skipping a string. Now, you could do a lot of things. That's the sound of West Montgomery. That was the dialect of West Montgomery. He used those octave things to play melodies on. Like a piano player might use octaves in his right hand. That was West Montgomery's guitar sound when he did one of those wonderful things that he did. So you can do that on a tenor by just going across, missing a string and going across and going up 2. Now, if we follow that through, then if we go all the way across, in other words, if I go all the way across, I have got this, which is opposing what an augmented chord does. An augmented chord goes up this way like a ladder, and a incomplete 7 chord goes across this way. Now the incomplete 7 chord is thirds and sevenths. Those are the strongest notes in moving harmonies for your ear, the thirds and the sevenths. Because what we've done here is, instead of having C and G, the root and the fifth of the C chord, and then the E and the B flat for the 7 chord, we have added 2 B flats, which is the 7th. We've added, of the C chord, we've added 2 B flats, and we put down here, we've added 2 E's. So we have 2 E's and 2 B flats. We don't have the C and the G any longer. We have 2 C's and 2 B flats. Now, that, if we follow that through and go to the next chord, which if we go down, it'll move down and the first finger will come off. It just goes down chromatically like that. It goes down to an F7 chord. You see here, because you've got the E flat, which is the third, or the 7th of the F chord, E flat, the 7th, skip a string over, you got the E flat again. You've got the A, which is the 3rd of the F7 chord, and the A out there, which is the 3rd. So you've gone chromatically going down. This is down, by the way, remember? We said that's up musically and that's down. All right, we're going down musically, and we went from one 7 chord to another one in the cycle of fifths. Now, if I change that to the key of F, up here where we were before, in 8, and I go down, this is part 9, I go down and start on the D7 chord for Up the Lazy River, right? If I do that, I can, there's 2 notes, the 3rd and the 7 of a D7 chord, because we go across, all the way across. That makes a D7 chord, because we've got an F sharp and a C and an F sharp and a C. The F sharp is the 3rd, D, E, F sharp in the scale, D, E, F, G, A, F sharp, not F natural. F natural is minor, is D minor. So it's D, E, F, G, A, right? B, C, okay? So you've got the thirds and the sevenths of a D7 chord. Now if I take it down, because that's going down, here, I've gone down to an F, a B, and an F, and a B. Now the F is the 7 of the G7 chord. G, A, B, C, D, E, F. F is the 7 of the G7 chord, and B is the G, A, B is the third. So we got thirds and sevenths again. Now, what's happened in reality is when they've gone down, this bottom, let's just take the two bottom notes to start with because the top ones double it. If we take the two bottom notes were the F sharp and C, the F sharp was the third and the C was the seventh. When you go down to the G7 chord, look what happens. What was the third, the F sharp becomes an F, which becomes a 7, and what was the seventh, the C, becomes a B, which becomes the third. So as you go down, they reverse themselves. They reverse from a third to a 7, to a 7 to a third, from a third to a 7, to a 7 to a third, from a third to a 7, to a 7 to a third. As you go down, they reverse themselves, but they go in a cycle of fifths, using the thirds and the sevens, the two strongest notes in the cycle of fifths. So on the tenor banjo, or anything that's in the fifths, mandola, or anything that's in fifths, even including the mandolin and those, because they're in fifths just in a different pitch. They're fundamental. It's not C, it's a G on the fiddle and on the mandolin. But they do the same thing musically because they're in fifths across. They're just in a different tonality. So if we use those two notes with a D7 chord, and we go, see what's happened? I've gone up the chord. I've gone D open on the second string, F sharp, the third, A, the fifth, and I've gone up here to this note, which is a half step above the tonic, the D. So it's really related to the E. It's a flatted ninth. Because the E, if you go up D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, is a 9. It's the ninth. So if it's an E and it's a flatted E, it becomes a flat 9. So the melody becomes a flat 9 going up, which is also a diminished chord, by the way. And then it releases to the D7. D, D7, then F sharp D melody. I mean a C sharp D, C sharp D melody. So it's like the lazy river by the C7. Now you can put the 7 in over there if you want, because then you're doubling the sevenths, you're doubling the thirds again, you see. So you could go and then go to the B and still hold the 7 in. The B flat to the D with the A. So you're going, right? Now you're going to the G, which comes down here. You're going to the G and going. You're going up the G chord from the D. The fifth, the D to F. The 7 of the G chord, the G, the ninth, the A, the ninth of the G chord. Here. There's that half step thing again to the third. And then get up to the sixth. It's the G7 chord. The E's the sixth. Keeps you in that chromatic line in it. But what you've done is gone up the lazy river by the old mill run, the G, lazy, lazy river, in the noonday shade, C7, of a kind old tree, to the F. It resolves. Throw away your troubles, B flat, live a dream, F with D, F chord, and then back to the D7. G7. Started on the B down here, melody. The B, B, D, F, A, G. There's that half step to the B to the third, and now it wants to do a different thing because songs want to change a little here and there. So it goes to the 4 chord, and the 4 chord is F, G, A. That's the 4th, that's B flat. B flat in the scale of F. So from that G7, it goes up to the B flat here with a D on top. Comes down the scale. Hits a B, B diminished. I'm playing it as that alternate 7 chord that we said you could use for a diminished chord, which we'll go over later. Could be played this way, and then it goes up to F, F major 7, not E7, E flat 7 to D7. You see, and then the cycle again of the G. C, F, D7, G7, C7, F. Now, your ear needs to get to hear. Learn to hear those the same as when you converse. You don't have to think. When you hear a phrase that you know, you just automatically know it. You don't have to think about it. That's what you need to do musically. That's what the musical language does. And that's dealing with the cycle of fifths. Now you could do the same thing with no God, see, no gal maid has got a shade. See, it's all there. It's all there underneath that D. No gal maid has got a shade on sweet Georgia Brown. 2 left feet, but also me has sweet Georgia Brown. They all sigh and they want to die for sweet Georgia Brown. I'll tell you just why, F, you know I don't lie. A7, the A7, you go to the A7, and that becomes the cycle to the D. You could have gone from here to here, and go back to the D, you know, and then it changes again, right? That goes to D minor now. A7, F, G7, C7, F. Hear how that goes? You got to learn to hear when things go down chromatically, or like Get Up the Lazy River. You got to hear the singers when they move chromatically, when they just move in a half step, going up or down, and you've got to hear what the cycle of fifths do, which is that 7 leading to the next 1, which becomes a 7, which leads to the next 1, which becomes a 7, which leads to the next 1. That's why the cycle of fifths. I say 7, that's a 5 chord. With the 7 in it, becomes what they call a 5 chord. C, D, E, F, G7 is the 5 chord of 1. 5 chord of 1. Boom. Those go around. All right, well, that's number 9. We'll go on from there.